Ilia Topuria is now the official #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC after a brutal first-round knockout over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317. The Georgian superstar stepped into the octagon for the UFC lightweight title and didn't waste a second, flatlining a former champion in just 2.5 minutes. One clean, thunderous right hand sent Oliveira crashing to the canvas unconscious, with the fight waved off instantly. The moment was not just about becoming a two-division champ, it was the kind of dominant, explosive performance that shook up the entire sport. That KO catapulted him past names like Islam Makhachev and Merab Dvalishvili, and it's hard to argue with it, at least right now. El Matador's performance was as clean and devastating as it gets, and in this moment, he deserves that #1 spot. Sure, if Islam Makhachev dominates Jack Della Maddalena and captures the welterweight title to become a two-division champion, he's almost guaranteed to reclaim the #1 pound-for-pound spot. Speaking of pound for pound, the #3 ranked Merab Dvalishvili just went on the Ariel Helwani show and revealed an interesting story. According to the bantamweight champ, Topuria knocked him down twice during sparring. Here's what Merab said about sparring with Ilia.
Man, I can't spar with him anymore because he hits hard.
He hits too hard. Yeah, he's a big boy now.
No, I wasn't here. I otherwise I would like to training with him, but and I was meaning before. You know,
Sure.
I sparred before. And yeah, he dropped me 2 times from the body shot.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank God my head is fine.
Yeah.
And then every time I finished sparring with him, I was happy and thank God.
It's over.
It's over. Yeah. He's very good. And so what I was saying, he's very organized. You know, like, and then he's getting better, and he's special, man. He's I don't know. He's so smart.
Khamzat Chimaev's longtime rival, Caio Borralho, is back in the headlines, this time for picking against Chimaev ahead of his massive UFC 319 title showdown with Dricus Du Plessis. The beef between these two goes way back. At one point, even their training footage leaked online, showing what appeared to be Chimaev submitting Caio during a grappling exchange. Of course, it's just training, doesn't tell the full story, but it still added fuel to the fire. Things got heated after that, with both fighters trading shots online, and at one point there were real talks of the two squaring off before Khamzat was matched up with DDP. Now, with Khamzat set to fight for the middleweight title, Caio was asked to give his prediction, and unsurprisingly, he's riding with Dricus Du Plessis. What makes this a bit more interesting, though, is that Caio has actually trained with both guys. So while his opinion carries some weight, it's also clear there's still plenty of bad blood between him and Khamzat. The MMA world is completely split when it comes to this fight. Some fans and fighters are backing Khamzat's raw explosiveness, while others are siding with DDP's grit, durability, and ability to thrive in chaos. But there's one thing most people do seem to agree on. If Khamzat can't get Dricus out of there in the first 2 rounds, things start leaning heavily in DDP's favor. Let's dive into what Caio said in an interview with Golosov MMA. You know, right now, it's very hard to bet against DDP. I've always picked against him, and he's always shut me up. I think this fight could potentially end just as quickly as Khamzat's fight against Whitaker. But if the fight lasts more than 2 rounds, that's going to play into Dricus's hands. So it's very hard for me to say, but I really want to see this fight. But do you even understand DDP's style? No one understands it. What I do understand is that he's a man, a fighter with a big heart. He always applies pressure, and he never stops. Even if he's tired, he never stops. He just keeps coming and coming and coming, and that's his biggest advantage. But the main thing is not to make mistakes when you're fighting him, because he catches you on a mistake and takes advantage of it. After his devastating knockout win over Charles Oliveira, Ilia Topuria spoke with the Spanish journalist Papa Legaspi and dropped some major info about what's next, starting with what Dana White told him after the fight. He also took the opportunity to fire shots at both Arman Tsarukyan and Paddy Pimblett, claiming they're scared and probably won't accept the fight. But let's be real, Paddy's confidence is through the roof, so it's hard to imagine him turning the fight down. Sure, Paddy's hands aren't on Ilia's level, not even close, but confidence has never been his issue. The fighter El Matador has been circling for weeks now is Islam Makhachev. Even after UFC 317, while walking out of the post-fight press conference with 2 belts on his shoulders, El Matador joked that he thinks there's space for a 3rd one, once again hinting that he's aiming for a 3-division champ status.
I think there is a space for a 3rd belt.
But everything now hinges on what happens between Islam and Jack Della Maddalena. If Islam dominates JDM and becomes a 2-division champ, then he'll likely stay at welterweight and focus on title defenses, making a fight with Topuria less likely, at least for now. But ironically, if Islam loses to JDM, then things open up. Makhachev has said he plans on staying at welterweight, but a loss might change that, bringing him back down to lightweight and making Ilia versus Islam a lot more possible. According to Topuria though, Dana White completely shut down the idea of Islam Makhachev being his next opponent. Honestly, after the talks I've had with the UFC, it's clear they're not interested in seeing me move up to welterweight to face Islam. That fight's basically been shut down from their side. I'd be shocked if they called and said they want that next, but I'll still be watching. If Islam beats Jack Della Maddalena and decides to drop back down, I'll gladly give him the shot. But if he loses and tries to come back, yeah, there's absolutely no chance. The Paddy Pimblett fight would be easiest to make before year's end. He last fought in April in Miami. I'm ready for the end of the year if the UFC wants it, and if Paddy wants it, which is the important part. It's one thing to talk and say you want it. Then there's the Arman technique, pretending to be injured and complaining about your back. Arman was there too, and honestly, he looked scared too. He had that shocked look when he saw the KO, like, wow. I was the backup fighter for this? Thank God Charles made it. He seemed surprised. He made weight as a backup, maybe hoping he'd be called in. He always makes weight when he knows he's not going to fight. But when he knows it might actually happen, then suddenly it's, oh, my back. His brain sends a signal straight to his back, and we all know how that ends. Joe Rogan is fully behind the idea that Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev should have happened, calling it the fight to make when it was still a possibility. Earlier this year, Topuria vacated his featherweight title and set his sights on a massive showdown with Makhachev. The hype was real, the timing made sense, and fans were all in. But instead of staying at lightweight, Islam chose to move up and is now set to fight Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight belt, officially vacating his 155-pound title. Speaking during the UFC 317 broadcast, Rogan couldn't help but reflect on what could have been. I think Islam is the fight, Rogan said, with DC immediately agreeing. Rogan continued, saying if he were the matchmaker at the time, he would have picked up the phone and made that fight happen. You could tell. Rogan felt like the UFC let a super fight slip through their fingers. He even joked that maybe it was just a matter of money, saying, is there a number we can do? What do you think, fight fans? How interested are you in the potential Ilia versus Islam mega fight? Leave your comments below. That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.